I can't hear you guys, so I hope you hear me.
We're being politely on mute.
All right, it's good to see a lot of familiar faces, or at least familiar names. So it's good to be back. In a second, I'm just gonna make sure everyone's here. I'm just gonna check. Hello, thank you. I'm just gonna check if Iska is here. I'm not sure what it means. All right. Do you know how I can tell? Okay. Erica, how are you? Long time no see.
Oh, sorry, am I off mute now?
That's all right.
Hi, Rotti.
Hello.
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, Hashem. All right, I'm just going to start. I'm just waiting for Iska so we can have also the Melbourne, the whole Melbourne and federal Shaliach situation. I'm just going to message her quickly. Oh, maybe I can do it from here. Okay, never mind, just going to tell her. היי עסקה, פשוט תשלחי הודעה לשרית שתשלח לך לינק, תצטרפי אלינו, אני אתחיל בינתיים. טוב, hi everyone. I'm for you that know me, my name is Roy Berkovich. I was ex-Shaliach from Sydney. I just came back last year. I'm actually celebrating my first Aliyah anniversary. This is how I feel after 4 years in Sydney. And I'm very lucky to be back in Bnei Akiva. My position now is currently the director of Limmud for the remaining few months, but in January I will be taking over Jonathan Sinclair's position that a few of you already had a lot of luck to meet him as the executive director of Hol Achsharot. And that's basically my next challenge in my life personally. My wife is Amy. She was shlicha with me. She's from Perth. I was shliach in Sydney. And I think just to finish the jackpot, I just need my next shlichut to be in Melbourne, and we'll finish the whole situation in Australia. So in regards to Achsharot, basically you heard a lot of everything basically said by the ZFA. It's more, I think that the biggest problem is that for the challenge that we have for the next year is basically the whole situation between the states. We don't know what is the situation in Australia, what will be the situation in Israel, and that's the biggest challenge that we have. However, and I'm going to start with that, we need to know, and I'm going to be very clear about it, that we, as an organization, learned a lot from this year in regards to how we run a program. There was mistakes that have been done this year, and it's not going to happen for next year. That's something we're really trying to make sure it's not going to happen. The main concern was, as you all, I don't know if you heard or didn't hear, basically Limmud was running smoothly, they stayed and everything, but MTA and the whole situation with the institutions, that was fixed. And for next year, whoever is considered MTA should not be worried about going back in the middle of the year, unless it's a really extreme situation that I don't see how it's going to happen. But it's basically, we're not going to have again a situation like that. And as an example, now Israel is going into a lockdown again from Friday, and the institutions are completely on our side, and we continue the program as usual. So just because I'm not sure how everyone is familiar with the program, so if everyone is familiar with the program, I'm just going to skip quickly. So just a short, do we need to do a short video about Achsharot, or we all kind of know? I'm just looking at names here. If anyone, yeah, I'm pretty sure that everyone has had a kid before on Achsharot. If someone doesn't want, I'll do the video later, all right? So why you're in Israel, I think you all know that it's very important for your kids' independence and responsibility. It's increasing Jewish identity. We can focus on learning Torah. This is something that we can do, it's an opportunity of once in a lifetime. And also it's prep for Aliyah, but it's also prep for activist lives and leadership in the community. The Bnei Akiva family is obviously, we have a lot of organizations, and I think we see it as a family, and it's really important to understand that. We have groups from all around the world. We're a global organization, and we see that, and they see each other. Even now with capsules, we obviously take care of the whole COVID situation. But with that said, also they meet people from the US, from Europe, from all around the world, from Latin America, and it's something that is very unique. I always hear feedback from Chanichim saying that one of the coolest things that they have got from Bnei is that if they ever travel in South America, they have somewhere to stay, and vice versa with friends from around the world. So what is this year about? So it's not a school. It's not an institutional program, and that's more like about Limmud, but also with MTA, it's not just going to an institution. It's about growing. It's not just about inspiration. It's about personal growth. It's each one, we're going to try to build a program that is a program for a group, but also a program for each one to grow in that year. It's to learn to take responsibilities. It's about maximizing your time and to be flexible, and a lot about communication, how you communicate and how you build your communication with the other. We're talking a lot about the circles, about myself, about my friends, my family, the group surrounding me, my community, and my city, and we're talking a lot about how we communicate all these circles together. So it's very, very important. I'm skipping it because I think that most of you know all of that. If anyone have a question, please let me know. I can't see everyone, but just don't be polite, like unmute yourself and ask questions. So responsibility, the kesher with God is basically very important. We need to learn how to do that. I can see that Dina is also here, so welcome, Dina. And learning, and that's what makes Bnei Akiva very unique in the program's life, and the gap year programs, not gap year, the educational program. Okay, so a year at glance. So this is one of the questions that I was asked to answer. So this one is about MTA. In a second, I'll touch this one is about Limmud, and in a second, I'll touch MTA as well. In Limmud, so basically at the moment, the plans are going as usual. That means that in regards to the year at glance, we're planning it to work the same, even though with the Corona, and I'll explain the whole Corona situation in a second. So we're planning that in February, the kids gonna arrive, the Chanichim will arrive at February. We asked Australia or FBI to check the opportunity of the 3rd of February as a flight to Israel. That's what we checked at the moment. I think this is a good time for us, especially that there's no AZYC seminar. It will be a good time for us to start the program. It's important to know that at the moment, Australia is considered a green country compared to Israel, all right? Which means that Australians at the moment don't need isolation. They don't need bidud. To tell you, I can promise you that from now until February, it's very hard for me to obviously say that. But if needed and stuff will change, then the group will go into isolation of 2 weeks and we'll continue the program. February, March is kibbutz time. They will go up to kibbutz En HaNatziv. It's next to Bet Shan. It's a lovely kibbutz. It's a good time educationally to bond the group and also to learn about active life in a community. So that's the main goals that we're achieving. In March, we're gonna start preparing for Pesach, but also we're gonna have Hasbara seminar, which we know is very important for a lot of the Chanichim. In April, it's basically, it's also the times of national holiday seminars and Shvil Israel. Shvil Israel is a 2 weeks hike, very challenging, and I think it builds up a lot in the kids' identity, in a personal identity, and I think it's a wonderful time for them. Poland is a question, obviously. If it's possible, we'll go to Poland. I think that a lot of people normally ask me, why would you go to Poland again if they went on IST or each one of the programs around the schools in Australia. I think it's a very different experience. I think you're more mature, you experience a completely different Poland trip. But again, with the Corona and COVID, it obviously might change. Machon, we're basically joining the Machon program from the Jewish Agency. Obviously, we're doing that it will be suitable for Bnei Akiva kids and not necessarily the normal Machon program. We have our own identity in that perspective, and we're making sure it's happening. But basically over there, they learn about Zionism, about history of Zionism, and that's the focus on the Machon. After that, they're going to go to Yeshiva and Midrasha, experience Jewish learning into intensive Jewish learning. After that, we are doing Marva and internship. So that's a big change compared to maybe some of you had kids in the past. We understand that MDA as itself is not enough. It will be an option to do MDA, so it's not like MDA is canceled. However, we're giving another option for kids that doesn't want to do MDA, which is not suitable for them, but they also don't want to do Marva, to get internship in Israel in different fields. So we done here in Bnei Akiva, we hired a coordinator of internship. In the beginning of the program, she will work with each individual of the program and see how we can arrange an internship in a place that's suitable for them. So for example, it could be hospitals, and it could be therapy such as horse riding therapy and art therapy and stuff like that, but it could be also in high tech or like law or stuff like that. All right, we can't obviously all the stuff I can tell you now, but depend on Corona regulations, but should be, this is the plan so far. September, December is they're joining Mechina. Mechina is a wonderful program. I don't know if some of you experienced that so far, but basically Mechina is joining its international Mechina with Israelis and international students. This year we have amazing international students from Singapore, Holland, Italy, US, France, from all over the world. It's an amazing experience. And they learn a lot about Jewish people, and it's really, really making a life-changing experience. During that Mechina, we are doing also Hadracha seminar. It should have been between Yom Kippur and Sukkot, because it's time that it's Chofesh anyway in Mechina, and we're doing Hadracha seminar, and this is joined with MTA. So it's another point of joint with MTA, and we are going in December to closing seminar and overseas volunteering. So that's a change compared to every year program. This year, Limmud, we are planning, again, COVID and all of that, but the plans are, we continue our plans as usual, to volunteer in Ethiopia. If, for God, please God, they will bring all the Ethiopian Jewry back to Israel by December next year, and we'll change it. So we'll find a different community around the world that we can be active and actually make a change. And you can see that as the epiphany of Limmud. In a way, they're going to work up the whole year how on the leadership skills, on how they create programs and stuff. And in the end of the year, for 2 weeks, they're going to actually do that, obviously with our guidance and everything around all the logistics going to be on us, but they're going to create the educational program. So that is Limmud. MTA. So MTA is very similar. Again, 3rd of February, that's when we want to start with opening seminar. And they are basically going to the Yeshivot and Midrashot. So we have 4 institutions. This year, for boys, we have, again, Yeshivat Eretz Hatzvi and Gush Etzion, Har Etzion. And for girls, so we still with Midrash Tarova, but the changes, and instead of Midrash Tamid, we are going to Machon Ma'ayan, which I understand that already have quite few girls this year that already signed into that Midrasha. So as you understand in MTA, it's mostly in the Yeshiva and Midrasha, but in between the times, because this is how it works in the institutions, we are coming with the Bnei Akiva program. So in regards to pre-Pesach seminar in April. And then they're back to Yeshiva and Midrasha. And then they have kibbutz, volunteering, Sarel, Poland, Zionism seminar. All is running as we plan now. And we're going to have proper programs with proper curriculum that we're going to achieve leadership. It's maybe not as much as depthness that Limmud going to get, but they're definitely going to get the basic plus into Jewish history, Zionist history, volunteering, activism, being part of all of that, and it's very important for us that it's going to happen. September is again Yeshiva and Midrasha, and then for Chagim, they're back with us. It's basically what happens now. So they have Sukkot, Eilat Yul, and Adrecha seminar with Limmud. Back to Yeshiva Midrasha and closing seminar, which will be in Israel, not in Ethiopia. Unfortunately, we can't do that. They don't have enough time to fly to somewhere. So that's basically a year at glance. In regards to a few questions that I was asked to, all the other stuff I think we all know. So just a week in Limmud, this is a week in kibbutz. You can look while I'm saying other stuff. In regards to the cost of the program is 90,000 new Israeli shekels, all right? We're talking in shekels because in the end of the day, I need to pay here for the buses and all of that in shekels. So that's why, but when I checked this morning, I understand that the Australian dollar currency to shekel is 2.4, and it's around the 36,000 Australian dollars. That's the cost of the program itself. As Mark said, obviously there's overcost on that with regard to the Australian side of the stuff, like the flights and the insurance, the flight insurance that they're offering. Always when people talk to me about insurance, they get a bit confused with the health insurance. We, as Bnei Akiva, have health insurance and it's including in the price of the program. It's completely covered. In regards to COVID, it's completely covered. It's a bit funny sometimes to talk about it, but like it makes sense, even if you think about it as insurance, because they get it when they come to Israel. So it's not a pre-existing condition. So it's completely covered by the insurance company. And on top of that, we have asked we basically partner with two organizations. One is a group of experts that are expert in pandemic doctrine. I think that's the way to say it. And they basically are offering us guidance in regards to each program, in regards to pandemic and how to deal with that as a group. But the other thing that is more important is that we joined to a group called telemedicine. And it's a group of doctors that can, you don't need physically to go to them unless it's very urgent, but they give us medical analysis of each participant over the phone. And then we can know, especially in this time, what we need to continue with. And it's doctors, it's not paramedics, it's not anything less than that. It's proper doctors that's going to give us this help, medical guidance. Another thing that is important, health and safety measurements, okay? So in regards to COVID, I'm just going to start basically to talk. We are working with capsules. So when a group come, for the first 2 weeks, they're becoming a capsule, which means that in the first 2 weeks, if they need isolation, so it's isolation, but they unseparable. So they create themselves as a group. We separate them for everyone else, and they're separated completely from the world, right? And then they become a capsule. When they become a capsule, I'm sorry if anyone, yeah, in a second. Sorry, Lisa asked me, insurance in Israel covered by Harel? Yes, but Lisa, just to your question, we work with Egret and Cohen, and Egret and Cohen work with Harel. So it's the same, it's basically our agent is Egret and Cohen, and then Harel is the company. So we're creating a capsule in regards to COVID, and then from that moment and on, they have their own temperature check, alcohol gel, all hygiene, everything needs to be done properly. And they have masks at all time. It's obviously when they're in a capsule they don't need, but at any time that they see anyone out of the capsule, / teachers, someone from the office, or any activity that they do outside of the capsule, they need to be with mask. On top of that, we very, very, very much focusing on the 2 meters plus, 2 meters minimum of distance. And if needed, we sometimes, especially it works in yeshivot and midrashot for us, we're creating a screen that basically we're putting the speaker in the screen and the group is around that screen with, yeah, sorry, I just saw Hannah's question. And Hannah, one second, I'm going to answer to you. And then this is how we work in regards to the COVID situation. Hannah, just to a question, where do kids go for free weekends? So it's a good question. It's a very good question. It's not different, but just it's something that I should have said before. Limmud will have, well, it's depend on if they need to go into isolation or not, or there's lockdown on stuff. If they're in lockdown, it's not a question. The program is supplying everything. Like we had a very long lockdown before, and Limmud was there the whole time, and there was no free weekend because we're obviously not going to tell someone to get the kids suddenly. When they go to free weekends, when they can, so we basically encourage people to go to their families if they have in Israel, and if not, they should contact us as soon as possible and we can try to arrange something for them. We have communities around Israel that are more than happy to be host families and have some people over at them. With that said, it's very difficult for us to do it in the last minute. So as soon as possible that if someone knows that he doesn't have a place for Shabbat, he should tell his tzevet, his madrichim, his rakaz, his coordinator, his the director of the program, so they can organize something for him. What we normally recommend, because we don't want families of participant X to feel like they need to host all the time, what we normally do is that we ask them to group as 3 or 4 together and to go each free weekend to someone else's family, if it's possible. And then, it's again, if it's possible with the families, and this is something we recommend because we saw it works in the past. And then you can see, because the free weekends every 2 or 3 weeks, it depends on the schedule, then every 3 or 4 times, so that means every 2 months or 3 months they go to that family. If a lot of kids like they don't want our help, and what we experienced this year, and for some reason they decide to go to Airbnbs, we're not going to stop that. However, no matter what, on free weekend, the COVID guidance is applicable to them, which means, for example, anyway, under Bnei, we're not really encouraging going to parties, but let's say they are going to parties, this is unacceptable for us because of COVID regulations. So it's not because of necessarily the religious aspect of that, but also because of COVID, we really don't encourage that. In fact, someone that will go to a party and will know that because of that, the whole group needs to go to isolation, we will have measurements taken. And I think this stuff will need to be communicated to you even before the program. You need to understand that we don't want to affect the program, that now we need to isolate everyone for 2 weeks just because one person went to a party and he got the corona there. So in free weekends, we're really gonna make sure through the directors of the program, through the madrichim, that the kids understand that even mixing with other programs, which I completely understand it's possible because of they want to see each other and stuff like that, they need to keep distance, be with mask all the time, alcohol gel, not to share drinks, not to share food, all those stuff that are very, very important for us because it can affect when they come back from kibbutz. Julie asked me a few questions. Julie, first of all, how are you doing? In non-COVID times, visiting family and friends was the norm, but families might be hesitant to have kids in and out. 1 second. There are many free weekends, so we will. Okay, so with kibbutz, I think specifically about kibbutz, I think it's something we need to discuss with the kibbutz. I don't want to promise on their behalf, but normally there wasn't really an issue as long as we leave a staff member in the kibbutz. To do that, we just need to plan it ahead and know how many people are staying, because I'm not going to leave a staff member just because one person wants to stay. But if we know that a group of people wants to stay in advance, so we will organize it in advance that the staff member is staying with them in kibbutz. We would prefer not. The reason is that kibbutz always complain after. We understand it's the group in the beginning of the time, at the beginning of the thing. But I think that we need to be very strict with our rules, with that said, and to make it happen. We do understand that due to COVID, it's not really, it's not fair to always be on families. We will try as much as possible to have as many in weekends. First of all, in MTA, it's much easier because they have basically also the institutions and everything. I assume you're asking about Limmud, but with Limmud, we will try to do our best. I can't promise you yet, just because we don't know what's going to be the regulations in regards to COVID yet. Yeah, Erica asked me, they will be able to stay there for Shabbat. Yeah, so basically you're right. It's just Mechina for sure, apartments of Marva and internship for sure, kibbutz there will be as long as we know in advance, and that basically covered everything. I think that the only question mark, the truth is, it's only Yeshiva Midrasha, but it depends on the Yeshiva and Midrasha, but I don't think there will be really a problem with that. I just don't want to create this, because I would not want, and I think you will all appreciate that, I do not want a group of people staying in a place without guidance of a madrich at least, right? At least one madrich that stay with them, so they can have a proper Shabbat and to make sure they have meals and they have everything organized for them. Not necessarily from the program, but at least it's all organized for them. Okay.
Sorry, Roy, I think it's
Yeah.
just easier. Can I just interrupt for a second?
Yeah, of course.
I have a problem with all the free Shabbats, and then the kids have to go stay in an Airbnb for 90,000 shekels. I think there needs to be somewhere for the kids to be if they can't find somewhere else to be for Shabbat. Yes, occasionally they might go to an Airbnb, but for every second or third Shabbat to spend more money, it doesn't matter if it's $20 or, $100, whatever it is, it's a very expensive program. We need the kids to be looked after, or for at least somewhere for them to stay the whole time. That's just how I feel. I'm sure there's others that might agree as well.
Yeah, no, I do understand that. I think it's something that I'm sure that, yeah, I understand that it's something that everyone understand that, but you need to understand that in regards to guidance, like we have duty of care, obviously, right? And not necessarily we need to understand that also the madrichim needs a break once in a while to see their family, and there is where a major problem comes in. And also from our experience, unfortunately from the past, this is where also the major problems happen with these apartments, right? That's not a reason to not have them the opportunity to stay there. And I think we need to build up the relationship on trust and communication. I'm just saying that it's not possible. I'm just saying that as long as we communicate in advance and we know exactly when's the times that they're staying, everything can be able to be happening, okay? And especially the main concern from your perspective should be on kibbutz time, that it needs to be really communicated to us in advance, because it's not necessarily us controlling that place. It's belong to the kibbutz and they have a community, and we need to respect that from their perspective.
So, Roy, if you don't mind, I just think that because of COVID, where in the past you may have relied on family and friends, it's trickier because they may be hesitant to have kids in and out of their homes because of COVID and being exposed or whatever. And so, it's a lot every second weekend to have fun. If you don't have family and friends to rely on for due reason, it then becomes on our own bill, which I agree with Erica completely.
Okay, so obviously we're not, like, again, as I said, I'm just going to be clear. In most of the program, I don't see any problem of that happening, okay? As you're saying, you can also state that, I agree with him. In most of the program, there's no problem, okay? Two things. One is not expectation there will be a program in free weekend, which means they're going to be a weekend that they might need to understand that I can't organize all the logistics and everything for them, and the program and the educational program. But from the other hand, if they communicate in advance, because I know that some people wants to go with their friends. I understand that as well. Like we're saying one thing here, and then when we experience the program, the kids don't actually want to stay in the program, right? And that's another thing. So I can't guarantee that every free weekend people want to stay. And if no one will stay, so then it's not fair for me to leave someone behind, like one of the staff members, right? So I just want communication. That's the only thing that I want.
Sorry to interrupt, but whoever is watching TV, could you please mute yourself? Because it's getting in the way of being able to hear.
Unless it's the block. I'm obsessed with the block.
Well, you need to see it as well.
Yeah, well. No, so I think we're all in agreement. We will try we will do our best, especially that we still have time now. And I know that you wrote that we're letting me in advance now, but unfortunately, when it comes to the actually free weekend, we don't know exactly who each kid is staying and not. I'm just asking communication and trust, and why can't we minimize the weekends away now? It's something that unfortunately I can't do it because Sorry.
Look, it's a different time now. It is COVID.
Yeah, I understand.
And I think as a precaution, it would make a lot of sense to minimise the amount of weekends away, because and just plan that there'll be half the amount of weekends away, and therefore in advance to make sure to have staff supervising. And that way we go into it with it.
So let's do something like that. I will do my homework on that perspective, okay? I'll see the what it means for us. But in any case, when we talk about free weekend, what we actually talk about is basically a place for them to be. You don't plan for a program to be, right? You just don't want them to go to an Airbnb. That's basically what it really is.
How many look, our other son went on MTA, and he was looked after the entire year. Yeah. And we could, it was a fortune then. Now it's even more expensive, Limmud, compared to what we paid then, much more expensive. How many free weekends does Limmud have?
So we're saying that I can't, because each part of the program is quite different. Roughly between every second and third.
Oh, that's too many.
Yeah. So no, I understand what you're saying. It's too many, but not again. There's a big difference, and I understand that in theory and in paper to compare to what is happening on ground, right? Because on ground, the kids they want a free weekend.
The kids won't necessarily have the money to do this.
No, I understand that. That's why we're offering the opportunity to stay in the places. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that in regards to the program, they want to break every second week.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's continue.
Ro'i.
Yeah.
Hi, Ro'i.
Hi, Shoshana.
Hi. Just wanted to ask something. It's not about us, but just I'm sure that there are some kids that would really like to go, and their parents, they might fail all the tests, the income tests that you have for subsidies, but still it's not necessarily something that they can afford to pay for. Do you have, is there a process that the kids can activate?
Yeah. All right. If I understand your question correctly, it's about funds to sponsor the program. Okay. So I just got into the position, and I also 2 weeks ago, and what I heard, and especially it's relevant to New South Wales. Unfortunately, I heard that Millie Phillips is not having grants this year, which it's a big shame for everyone, but especially for receiving it. I think that we understand that, and what we have done this year is we, as World Bnei Akiva, we went to donors and tried to get a COVID specifically for this year, because we understand it's harder and people not working, especially in Victoria and stuff like that. We got grants that are helping people to come for the program, right? I don't think that it will be, I'm not going to talk about the thing, it's not going to be 90,000 shekel scholarships, and I don't think anyone thinks it's going to be like that, and I need to be very frank on that. However, it will be like, it's depend, I think each one we need to talk individually. For that to happen, and it's something that's actually really good that I have quite a lot of you here, it's really, really, really important for us to do the Masa forms, all right? Now, I know, and I've dealt with Masa in the past, and I know that Masa sometimes is not fair and sometimes doesn't understand the Australian tax return files, all right? I do understand that. Therefore, it's something that we need to deal with that as soon as possible, and message and email, and some of you already knows that I used to, when I was Federal Shalech, I used to personally email Masa and explain to them that this situation is not the same situation as in the past, right? And thinking, fine, this is really important for us. Let's say after the Chagim, don't take me by date, but after the Chagim, after Sukkot, we will try to already organize with each one of you a pre-contract meeting with the head of finance in World Bnei Akiva. So we understand, because we understand that as Sydney at the moment there's no shlichim, and it's very hard to deal with all of that. But we will try to specifically sit with each one of you and to understand the financial situation and to see what is the gap or what is the situation for that. And it's really, this is like the first thing. And I think you need to understand that we're doing the same thing with South Africa, and South Africa is doing it at the moment, because I understand that South Africa and Masa is much easier, but they've done on top of that a finance report on each family. Like each family needs to give a finance report. We're not asking that, we're asking from Australia just the Masa situation, but we need that for that meeting. So if you didn't do the Masa, / you got an answer from Masa that you're not happy with, you think you deserve more, please do that until after Sukkot. This is the time to do that. Masai, keep working, as Sarit saying, and this is the time to do that. So please do that. So after Sukkot, when we do these meetings, we will be able to sit properly with each family, and we will make sure. I will tell you, I'm sure some of you heard that from me in the past, but I'll say it again. Me, personally, Roy, didn't come from a family that had money. My mom and my dad done everything for me for education. And I know that each one of the parents here in this conversation will do everything for their kids. With that said, it's not a program just for very high finance situation families. And we will do the most possible that we can to allow every Bnei Akiva Chanich to come on a Bnei Akiva program. To do that, it's very hard for us as well. And we are doing the measurements as a Bnei Akiva Olami situation. We're doing everything. And I'm personally, it's like ripping my heart to hear of someone not coming just because of finance. So we want to do as much as possible, 200% for each one. But I can't promise you everything. I can't promise you 90,000 shekel. I can't promise you anything like that. And I need to be clear with that. And something, but it is, Shoshana, just because you mentioned that, it's something that's very close to my heart, and we will work hard for that.
Roy, can I
Yeah.
sorry. Okay, a couple of things I just want to say and ask. The first thing is, how long does it take for Masa to get back to get back to us?
Normally 3 weeks.
Okay, well, I probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, and I haven't heard anything. The other really massive gripe I've got with this organisation is that every single thing is handballed, okay? I'm told, speak to this person, then I contact them. No, you've got to speak to somebody else. Then no, you've got to speak to somebody else. I can't get through to anyone. Nobody can answer my questions. People don't return emails, and it's really frustrating. I'm actually quite close to walking away because there's no one that I can talk to. It's completely disorganized. Every single email is handballed, every single one.
Yeah, so
I mean, I spoke to Jonathan for ages. He said, you've got to email some other woman. I can't remember her name in Israel. Emailed her. No, you've got to email Dina. Dina, no, you've got to email this one. What do we do? And how come? And Masa don't get back to me. I've sent them several emails. What is it with the organisation? Why is it so badly organised? I mean, there's only so much we can do.
Yeah, so Masa, generally, it's a very big organization, all right? I have to think. I'm obviously
but
not
they have
in charge.
to deal with this as well.
Yeah. No, I understand that. So I will tell you my tip as an ex-Sydney Shaliach. That's what I have done all these years, and I think it worked for me perfectly, all right? Sarit, that was here before, she's the representative for Masa in Australia. Bother her, call her, email her. Don't let her go. Don't call everyone else in Masa. She's the point of contact. She's the person to do the point of contact in Masa in Israel. You don't need to do all this running around. Everything that regards to Masa, this is the person to talk to. In regards in Bnei Akiva, only one person talked to you about the signing up to the program, and that's Chava Weisblatt, that you all have the email. If she has a problem,
she was the one who told me to speak to Dina, Chava.
To Dina about what?
About the finances. And then Dina told me to go to a parent, one of the parents there from Yavna. I mean, it's all over.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No. Okay. Michelle, I think specifically, I understand now what's the thing. I think if you don't mind, we can speak about it privately. I'll give you my number and we'll speak about it privately. I'll sort it out. I understand.
Okay, but
now I understand.
I'm happy to do that, but that's exactly what Jonathan said. And I did that. He said, so ring me privately. I rang him in Israel. He told me I need to speak to somebody else about it. She told me I need to speak to somebody else about it. The next person told me I need to speak to like if my questions aren't answered, I'm actually going to walk away. It's quite frustrating.
Not answered. I think it's a very specific situation. But because I think I got confused for a second. I thought you were talking about Masa. Did you got an answer for Masa?
Oh, Masa, pathetic. They had organised a call to call me in the middle of the night, and I stayed up. And then she said, sorry, I can't help you. So it's just quite useless on every single angle.
Okay. So, Michelle, I'm going to help you with that. But I think it's a specific situation, and I'll speak to you specifically after. If you don't mind, sorry. 1 second, just a few questions, and then Simon, if you don't mind. I think there was Jackie. What did you wrote? Too far back. In my memory, was so Eretz and the thing. So all the institutions, basically, they have an apartment for them. MTA, they have a place that they're staying in. Sometimes there's Ben Azmanim, for example. Now it's going. I'm not talking. Okay, now it's Corona, so they have the apartment. But sometimes what happens is after Yom Kippur, they're telling them, well, you need to leave the apartment because there's no food, there's no nothing here. But with that said, now with Corona, they're letting everyone stay. It's not even a question, and it's organized. So with yeshivot and institutions, that's much easier because it's not a place that they're changing every 2 months. Different with Limmud is that every 2 months they're changing apartments. That's the only difference. Okay, Simon, sorry.
Just to reiterate on the Masa stuff, it's a slightly different experience. We got the confirmation of the application. I just checked, it's more than 7 weeks ago, and then nothing, no replies to emails, no nothing. So we have no idea.
Hilarious.
There's many people in that same situation. That's a very common situation.
Okay, I will directly speak to Masa here, and I'll see why there's normally they promise us 3 weeks of answer. I'll see what's the gap, if they have any problem with manpower, or I don't know what's the story. I don't want to answer on behalf of the Masa, but it's not acceptable of my
I got a response from when we got a response from Masa. They actually it was quite amusing. They replied, said, "Thank you very much. You've been accepted, and thank you for donating your grant to somebody else." Whereas that's totally the opposite of what we expected.
Yeah, and I've actually got to say, what's also amusing on my part is that my daughter, who was going to go in 2018, they keep sending the letter to her, like for Limmud, and she was going to go on another program. So it's really pretty poor.
Well, but what did she write in the application?
This was 2 years ago. And then
wait, they're answering now for 2 years ago?
Yeah.
So I
I'm
will have a
just
chat
saying,
with Masa.
and I said to them,
Masa
it's
is
not
not my.
Jasmine, it's Benjamin, but that's my point, is that it's just so disorganized.
Yeah, well, Masa is not, as you understand, I have enough on my plate as Bnei Akiva, but with Masa, we will definitely have a chat with them and to understand what's going on. It's unacceptable from your behavior, from my side.
Totally.
Right. The other thing is that a number of us are aware, the South African program has a significantly lower price. So that's not the...
It's bigger Masa. It's the same price of the program.
Well, yeah, that's not what parents there are telling us. I'm aware of one family who are still permanent residents in South Africa, who flew the son back to South Africa to do the program from there because the sticker price was lower.
I understand. So what I'm saying is the same price of the program. The difference is that Masa, as a governmental organization, have decided that some countries don't need all this Via Dolorosa that you're doing with Masa. In South Africa, you don't need. The reason for that is nothing to do with finance situation of the families. It's dependent on the finance situation of the country. Masa have decided it's already a few years ago that participants from South Africa, because South Africa, maybe not politically correct to say, but it's a third world country compared especially to Australia. And basically the cost of the program for them is basically, they don't look at Masa because they don't need to apply to Masa. So the cost of the program for them is the X amount of money that all get from Masa, the cost of the program minus the X amount of money that they're getting from Masa. So that's the difference, but it's nothing to do. Saka will tell you that the whole cost of the program is 90,000 shekel minus the $200 that you're getting from Masa. It's the same thing. That's the only difference. The same cost of the program, I can promise you that.
Are you saying
it's something that ZFA apparently needs to be contacted. It's got nothing to do with Bnei because I looked into it today.
I think ZFA, if I understand correctly, the president of the ZFA, Mr. Jeremy Liebler, is basically in contact directly with Masa to understand if they can change this also to Australia, and explaining that the Australian dollar is, now it's going up a bit, but it was plunging compared to the shekel. That's the big gap on the price of the program. But in regards to our cost of the program, it's remained the same for already a few years.
It's not even about the dollar, Roy. People haven't been working here for 3 months at least, and then we've still got another month or so. So, especially this year, I think there needs to be some sort of extra subsidy because...
That's what I told you. It is happening.
Yeah.
So Erica said it the best for me. That's exactly what I'm saying. There is extra subsidy because of Corona, nothing to do with base needs basically, I think Benjamin Katz asked me, it's not mean tested, it's Corona focused, all right? Even someone that can show us that he lost a lot of money due to Corona, and it's very hard for them because there's zero income, and we understand that, especially in Victoria, but also in New South Wales and WA. That's exactly the conversation we're going to have in regards to finance.
And $200 isn't really going to cover it.
I know. I wish. Believe me, I wish. I could have given more. Okay.
Roy, just one more
question. Interrupt for a minute?
Yeah.
Can I just interrupt for a second? Roy, can I just ask if there are chances that the program is going to be changed due to Corona? Is there a way that we can actually look at the structure of the program and look to reduce costs across the board, because we're not going to be traveling to? Sorry, this is Simona, Hannah's mum.
Hi, Hannah. Hi, Simona. Okay, so yes, absolutely yes. An example for that from this year already is that they don't have the Poland trip, and obviously that will be reduced from the cost of the program. If they don't have the Poland trip, so they don't get the Poland trip, and that's quite obvious. Everything that's in Israel, we don't see a reason unless it's a very severe lockdown, but it should happen. Flights to Poland, flights to Ethiopia, flights to whoever, we're obviously going to reduce that from the cost of the program. It's not a...
So does that mean that at the end of the day, it's going to be less than 90,000 shekel? There is a chance it's less for everybody?
Yeah, if they don't go to Poland, so whatever is the price for the Poland trip will be reduced.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. It touched base on the refund policy, because I know that a lot of you also also asking about that. I'm sorry if I'm closing the chat. Please, if anyone asks something that I didn't answer, please just feel free to chip in. Jump in, sorry. With refund, okay. So with refund, the story is very, so there is a refund policy. There's a refund policy that you're going to sign on when you do a contract, okay? With that, I think that the most worrying situation at the moment because of COVID is that you pay the 4,000 shekel application fees, yeah? And you're not actually coming to the program. What Bnei Akiva has decided, and the finance department, and I'm explaining you also that our side, we're already working on the programs, and I think you all will expect us to do that. And I think that the 4,000 shekel, if you can't come due to COVID, you will get it back fully, not like half, not nothing. If you can't come due to COVID, which means there's no flights, I don't know, there's a lot of reasons in that. If you can't come. With that said, and I think this is the communication, I'm as honest and as clear as possible. If you decide to come on a program and you don't come just because you want to go to a different program, it's not fair for us because we are planning already. If it's due to COVID, I think it's fair enough, and I think it's very clear to everyone to understand that it's fair for us to understand that it's not going to be refunded the deposit fees. Now, with the refund through the program, that's a different situation. There is a refund policy with very accurate dates and times and how much money and stuff like that. It's all going to be spoken in a direct meeting with Yoni Bat, the CFO, and will be very, very clear. It's very, very clear, its dates and what program have, if it's left few months and few months like that, and that will be refunded, okay? So I think, unless there's an answer, a question about refunds, good.
Sorry, Roy, just to be clear, if someone cancels not to go on another program, it's within our discretion if we think it's safe enough to travel. I think that's what we're worried about. We don't want you guys to say, no, we think it's safe enough, we're keeping the money.
Simon, I think that what I'm trying to show you, that I want clear communication between me and you. You can ask every parent that ever worked with me. I am as clear as possible from always, and I'm straightforward, and I say everything to the face, and I'm saying straight ahead, all right? And I think that as long as we have clear communication on the situation, I think each individual is obviously a different situation. We will deal with that in the right manner, then I think that that's the right. Thank you, David. And I think that we always.
I remember from 3 years ago, and
Yeah.
I have the greatest respect for you, and I know that you will communicate and you will do right things with Alyssa. But I asked a very direct question, you didn't answer it.
Yeah, I'm just not sure what do you mean by that? Like, because it's a scenario
it's
that's
very
very.
You said your concern was that kids change programs. And I
No,
understand.
not just change program. Change program is one reason that I'm giving. If someone is saying, you know what, I decided to go on a Bnei program. Now it's the time to decide. If you want time to think of the 4,000 shekel and you need 2 more weeks, be blunt with me and tell me, listen, I need to think of if my kid wants to participate in the program, and that's fine. But if you come to me and say, in 2 weeks before the program and say, you know what, we got cold feet, she doesn't actually want to go to the program, and doesn't matter what's the reason. Yeah, if it's not related to COVID, and I understand that there's discretion, I understand that. But you need to understand that also there was efforts putting out from our side. And it's not fair for me to go to a coordinator and say to him, you know what, this month I can't actually pay for you because a major amount. If it's 1 or 2, I'm not even talking about it, right? But if let's say 10 or 15 of you, then in a certain point, I won't be able to I'm as an employee, I'm gonna promise people a salary, and eventually I won't be able to deliver it to him because I'm suddenly out of funds. So I'm just saying it's nothing to do with changing a program. If discreetly there's a reason behind all of that, and you think that because of COVID you cannot send your kid to Israel, I think that's what we mean when we say that it will be refunded. Is that clear?
But Roy, we haven't had, my son went on MTA a couple of years ago and we never had to pay this amount. Correct.
Yeah.
We didn't have to pay that amount. We never had to do the $1,000, the 4,000 shekel. So yeah. I think, and I think as well, like, you know, for every family, it's not even about, like, I can appreciate all the work that's gone into it, the COVID plan. It all sounds wonderful, really, and I have confidence. I don't, but for some kids, the constant change of plan, it has to work for the individual child. So some kids will manage perfectly. It's very hard to commit to something now with so much unknown going on. So I think it's not about going, not going. Even if it goes ahead, and please God it will, and I'm really hoping to send Joel, it's a huge commitment at the moment, and the money is enormous with so much, you know, so, and that we've never had to pay it in the past. So you kind of makes us feel why now, when things are particularly tough, things are particularly unknown, so much uncertainty, to make such a huge commitment. It makes us feel a little bit unsettled. That, you know, I don't know. I have all intention to send, but you know, but it's a huge ask, a huge commitment when there's so much unknown. So I think that's where, well, that's personally where I'm coming from, and yeah. So
yeah. So once again, first of all, as long as I was in Sydney, it was always the case. So I can vouch for the last 5 years that that's what we're asking.
Really?
Because I know it from the Sydney side. So I don't know if they ask you in Melbourne, maybe it's a different situation. But I know you can ask every Sydney parent, and they pay that.
I don't think we've ever had to do it.
I didn't have to do it.
So maybe there was discrimination against New South Wales, and I understand that. Because they go for rugby and not for real footy, but I'm as long as I know that it was always the case. But I completely understand that maybe it wasn't the case with you. I don't think it's something that we've done specifically because of COVID, the 4,000 shekel. It's a better finance planning for the organization and the way that we understand how we can build the program. And that's the way to do that. Again, as I said to Simon as well, if you are still debating and you don't feel like that's the decision now and you need more time, please contact us and we'll give the time. It's not something that we don't think. I'm talking to the majority of people that made the decision. And if you made the decision and you know that your kid is coming, so let's continue with the process. And again, it could be split. It could be, you understand that it's like, the 4,000 shekel being reduced from the cost of the program, right? So it's not like if you pay the 4,000, the cost of the program goes down to 86. It's not like we're changing the cost of the program and asking for 94. We're 90, and this is 4,000 as a deposit.
We've never been told that before.
I understand. I don't know why. I don't know why in Melbourne it was never done. I really don't know. Maybe there was something with the SNF. I'm personally, and I think. Again, I personally know that I ask from every parent, all my 4 years in Shlichut, I ask every parent for, like I always
No,
ask
but this
for
is
that.
also, this is the first time that we've been told that this $1,000 goes towards the program.
4,000 shekel.
Been, sorry, 4,000 shekel. We've just been told pay 4,000 shekel, but we didn't know what for, and no one gave us a direct answer.
So that,
Erica, so that's why I personally, I'm saying, and also I think we need to understand that. I love Australia. All right, let's put it. This is my top country after Israel, right? But I really want to create, and I think this is a great forum to start that. Create a direct form of communication between me and you. And Iska is here, and Iska is also the federal shlicha, and also it's better with ours, obviously, with Australia. And she and I work very closely, and Dina is here, and Dina is also working very closely with us. But all three of us are committed, and I don't know what was in the past, but from now on, and I'm saying it as clear as possible, and I think it's recorded, this meeting, I want a direct form of communication. If you don't know something, please ask me. I'm gonna say the answer immediately, and maybe it will take me a day to answer the email, but that's because of my English, not because of I'm ignoring you. It's very important to understand that my perspective, I'm leaving whatever was in the past as the past, and I'm continuing, and I want you to feel like you have an address as parent, that it's called, you will be introduced to a director of MTA and director of Limmud. And in a second, I'm going to touch about director of MTA. This is a big change that we're doing. But and also director of Limmud, we're going to hire someone soon. And when we do that, you will also have another point of contact. But except of all of that, I am here. And especially because I love Australia so much, I'm not saying it to every country. I want you to feel free to email me, to WhatsApp me, and maybe I won't answer because I'm bathing my kids or I'm sleeping, but I will answer eventually after a day. It's not going to be like Masa, and I will give you an answer as soon as possible. I'm leaving the past in the past, and I want you to, if you ask about what is the 4,000, here we go. This is nothing to do with the price of the program. It's less. The moment that you pay the 4,000, the price of the program become 86,000. Okay. Ask me anything. I think now it's the time for freestyle kind of a thing. I do go for Sydney Swans in footy and the Dragons in rugby. But except of that, I think you have other questions.
Can you just post your details for some of us who have, I mean, I haven't met you before and spoken to you, so I don't have your details.
Fair enough. I'm writing it now.
Thank you.
Anyone with, I'm more than happy to stay here if anyone wants to ask me more questions. If you feel like there's something I didn't answer in regards to the program, I'm more than happy to answer. In the meantime, I'm just writing my details. Okay, I think that will be good. Everyone got it?
Thank you, Roy.
Okay, thank you. And I wish to see your kids very soon. I'm just going to end up saying that I'm very excited for this position. I think we have your kids going to enjoy an amazing year. And we are, thank you, Paul. And I think we will make sure that the safety of the kids is priority in regards to Corona and COVID. But just generally, we will take care of everything. And that's the most important thing. But also in regards to the program itself and educationally, I want you to, actually, Lisa. Hi, Lisa. But also in regards to the program, another thing that you're going to get for every part of the program, to understand the curriculum, to understand all the educational goals that we're having, and hopefully each kid also will have a goal, and that's what we're achieving. We're not a gap year program. I'm not looking for people to come here for a party or to do anything like that. I'm telling you because I want you to also communicate that to your kids. I'm not looking for this kind of kids. I want kids that are here truly to learn and to grow and to be part of that and come back after and to be growing in that perspective.
Which is even a bigger reason that these weekends worry me more than that.
I understand.
You know, and I don't want to have to deal with that.
Fair enough. And Lisa told me and everyone, and I will continue. Shana Tova to everyone. And I think that it was great to meet you all. And I'm sure there's some parents that are not here, but please feel free to share my number and contact. And Shana Tova to everyone. I'm just saying in case someone wants to talk to me privately.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.